Hare Krishna, Haribol, Haribol, Dandavat Pranams. Welcome everybody. Today it's Monday, the 5th of February, 2024, and we're beaming out of Godrun Dweep with some readings of the Jaiva Dharma, and we're up to the 9th chapter, so we'll have a kirtan first, and then we'll go into our study. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Aradhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, oh Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Haribo, Gaura Haribo, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda. O Jaya Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari. Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura, Ujaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, O Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhava Giri Hari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Vrishabhananandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sabhaboma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Baladev Vidibhushan Gaudi Varantaracharya Ki Jai. Jai Rasik Sirumani Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamanand Prabhu Tre Ki Jai. Srila Krishnas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan. Shri Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopal. Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Siga Hol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautam Dvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritujit Janadvip Modamdvip Rudradvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dvarasa Varmatmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Radhakun Shamakun Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani ki jai. Shrimati Punamasi Devi Yogamaya Maharani ki jai. Gopishwan Mahadev ki jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki jai. Ketramandal ki jai. Sarva Vigna Vinashakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan ki jai. Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Charidam ki jai. Chari Sampradaya ki jai. Charya Charya ki jai. Akada Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki jai. Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gauda Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Aginati Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Priya Swarupe Daita Sarupe Prema Sarupe Sahaja Virupe Nijana Rupe Prabhu Ekarupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuruna Varatino Kalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Svabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Dikatam Vasatipita Sada Hridare Kandares Puratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Prabhajantamana Petyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Taramobinidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktiya Vihina Aparara Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadita Rangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarabindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Bharadram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavai Vasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naimam Sharanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. And to our most beloved Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidanandanamine Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Brayate, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavi Namaha. So coming to our subject matter of Jaiva Dharma, every Monday we start on the first 5 verses, and every Thursday we start on the first 5 verses. So 2 times a week we scroll through these remarkable um, glorifications, the fruit of hearing, Falshruti, this Jaiva Dharma. So we'll start from verse 1. Pritivita yatakata dharma name chale, Bhagavata kahe shaba paripurna chale, as indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1-2. All the philosophies on earth that are celebrated as Dharma are utterly deceptive. So I wanted to read today the translation of this beautiful verse, this Dharma Projita Kaitavatra Parama Nirmatsharanam Shatam. So I want to read the translation for this verse just to put us into a mood of what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is sharing here, what he's distributing, what he's giving. My Gurudev used to say that all of these truths ultimately are to be realized through moods. It's actually, feeling is in the heart. If we keep it in the brain, this is the logical place, the rational place. The essential truth exists in the heart. There's a beautiful verse by Lord Brahma. He says, Gyane prayasam udapasya namante eva, that this endeavor for knowledge, udapasya, should be given up, and one should focus on surrendering to the Lord. So this pursuit of knowledge is not going to satisfy the heart. So this verse, Dharma Projita Kaitavatra Paraman Naryamatsaram Satam. So the translation is, this perfect scripture, because of course it's referencing Bhagavatam. It's the second verse in Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Srila Vyasadeva from 4 original verses, the 4 Chatushlokis, describes the most elevated and kind-hearted devotees and completely rejects the cheating ways of materially motivated religiosity. The devotees are most kind-hearted. Why? Because they're only concerned with the ultimate reality, with the supreme truth. This is all they're concerned with. So all the other um, clouds of delusion that are created by this material world are cut through by the pure devotees, and they just give us that incredible gift of the absolute truth, which satisfies the heart so much. Um, Completely rejects the cheating ways of materially motivated religiosity, dharma, artha, karma, and moksha. It propounds the highest truth, reality distinguished from illusion. We are so much bewildered and illusioned. We need to have this absolute truth, this reality. It's such a balm. A balm means like a cooling um, massage for the heart, this absolute truth. Illusion for the spiritual welfare of all. There's another verse at the beginning of the second chapter, Dharma. What's it? Dharma project? No. Pumsam Dharma Parosh. This one. How does it start off? No, 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 no. Um, can't just it just slipped my mind. Um, it'll come back in a minute. What is the highest dharma ad hoxage, that worship of that inconceivable Lord? Savai pumsam paro dharma, yato bhakti ad hoxage. That ad hoxage is the inconceivable Lord. He's not perceivable by the material senses. So if we're utilizing our material senses to try and assimilate knowledge of this world, like this dharma, artha, karma, and moksha is knowledge of this world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur takes great lengths and pains to describe this in practically every chapter. This is naimitic dharma. This is temporary. This is impermanent. So this is not the truth. This is not going to satisfy the heart. It teaches pure bhakti, the highest principle of eternal religion, and it uproots the threefold miseries of the conditioned jivas, awarding them Krishna Prem, the ultimate benediction of pure love of God. The heart is crying for this pure love of God. Nothing else will actually do. It'll just bend the mind out of shape. Those eager to hear this beautiful Bhagavatam under the guidance of the person Bhagavat, in a submissive attitude of service, can at once capture Sri Krishna in their hearts. To have a submissive attitude of service, you don't have to be a big intellectual scholar. You just simply have to be sincere. That's all that's required. Just the sincerity of the heart. Because it's not about envy. It's not about somebody being better or worse than us. It has nothing to do with this materially motivated, competitive type of striving that we're taught from birth in the various schools and stuff. Yes, do better than him. We'll have an exam, see who's top, see who's the most glorious. This is not to be encouraged. The ultimate benediction of pure love of God. Those eager to hear this beautiful Bhagavatam under the guidance of the person Bhagavat in a submissive attitude of service can at once capture Krishna in their hearts. Therefore, there is no need for any scripture other than Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is that verse in that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is referencing here. All the philosophies on earth that are celebrated as Dharma are utterly deceptive. Chale Dharma Charikara Satya Dharma Mate Chatuvarya Tyajidara Nitya Prema Gati. One should completely abandon such deceptive dharmas and absorb his mind in true Dharma. In other words, one should give up the fourfold goals of material life, Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha, and aspire solely for the ultimate destination of Nitya Prem. Before reading this Jaiva Dharma seriously, I had never really considered that these 4 Purusarthas were to be rejected so strongly. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes it so clear But this is not our path. Our path is Nitya Dharma, nothing to do with this Naimitic Dharma, and aspires solely for the ultimate destination of Nitya Prem. Amitva mimam sabrame nija jale buddhi, nirvishesha brahma gyana hichira shuddhi. Those who are deluded identify themselves with matter. That is their error. However, one cannot be purified of such delusion by endeavors for nirvishesh brahm gyan. This is not the path. If it's not karma, then the alternative is nirvishesh brahm, this impersonal goal. That's all you're left with. Hivichitrata hina hale nirvishesha hoy, kala simutalya saye aprakrita noy. The Mayavadi thinks Sri Krishna to be subject to the limitations of time, such as birth and death, and considers that he is not transcendental. Thus he rejects Sri Bhagavan's Vichitrata, astonishing characteristics, paraphernalia, qualities, and lila. Through this vicious attempt, he is left with the philosophy of Nirvishesh Brahm. Just to consider these astonishing qualities, astonishing activities of Krishna. Today we were sitting in Radhakund in Goradam and considering the astonishing pastimes that take place there daily in Radhakund. They are completely astonishing. So if you're focusing on the Nirvishesh Brahm, that impersonal Brahm, you're going to completely miss all of that because you might hear those parts, but if you don't have faith in those pastimes, then you'll never get the juice on the gifts of those pastimes for the jiva. Why are we hearing these pastimes? There's another verse, Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusyam Deha Ash, that Krishna, he advents only to show and in his human-like form, just to demonstrate the beauty of his leela, to attract the jivas to him. That's why he advents. We're so conditioned, we're so delusioned. We have to really appreciate how much we have become bewildered. Through billions of births, we've taken shelter of this material consciousness, material world, as being the be-all and end-all. And I must make all my material arrangements for happiness and success in life. But it eludes us. Kandagyane hoya dharma ache sunishchaya, prakritita hoya kabu aprakrita noya. Such base and contemptible gyan, which arises out of an attempt to dismember the divine form of Bhagavan, is only fit to be rejected. It is prakrita, materialistic, and should never be given credence as aprakat dham. Yes, we should never become delusioned about Krishna's pastimes, thinking that they're temporary, thinking they're like. Because if you're only experiencing temporary pastimes, you tend to put that same conception on Krishna and think, well, he must be temporary also. But to get into that transcendental, astonishing state of consciousness, one has to relinquish all hold of reality in this world, practically become like a madman in consideration of this world. We're no longer sane because we're not going for these four purusarthas. We're no longer sane like the rest of the populace is looking for material acquisitions. So if we're not in that channel, we would be considered insane. So let's be insane. Huh? No, we're not. We are normal transcendentally, but transcendental is not normal in the conditioned world. Yes. So now we come to page 208, and Digambar has been really harassing Advaita, but Advaita Das Babaji has been beautifully refuting all of his preposterous conclusions about Durgama Shakti being the beginning and end of everything. This is his proposal. He hasn't included the ingredient of where does the Shakti come from. This is what we've spoken of a lot, right? What is the source? What is the origin of the energy? This is what we've been discussing. Because if you don't acknowledge Krishna, then you can't understand Shakti Tattva. Shakti, Shakti Matayo Abed. Shakti is coming from Shakti Matayo, that energetic person. So we'll read. I'm going to repeat this paragraph, which we read last time. It's very dense. We could repeat it 100 times just to go deeper on it. The commentary of Vedanta states, Shakti, Shakti Matayo Abed. There is no difference between the potency and the possessor of the potency. Just like the heat and the sun. There's really no difference. The light and the candle. When we say, oh, the candle's over there, we're talking about the flame of the candle, the heat of the candle, and the light of the candle. We're talking about all three, except we can separate them to appreciate them more closely. There is no difference between the potency and the possessor of potency. This means that Shakti is not a separate object. The Supreme Person, who is the master of all potencies, is the one truly abiding substance. That's Avastu. Shakti is the quality or inherent function that is subordinate to his will. You have said that Shakti is the embodiment of consciousness, that it possesses will, and that it is beyond the influence of the three qualities of material time. This is correct, but only insofar as Shakti operates fully under the support of a pure conscious entity and is thus considered identical with the powerful entity. You can't separate Shakti and say she is the supreme without acknowledging the origin or the source of Shakti. It's like not acknowledging the sun, just talking about the sun's rays. Desire, oh, where did it go? This is correct. Only is thus considered identical with that powerful entity. Desire and consciousness depend on the supreme being. Desire cannot exist in Shakti. Shakti, like Srimati Radhika, is the embodiment of Shakti. She has no desire separately than to please Krishna. That's the end of her desire. Everything is to please Krishna that she does. Krishna is the origin of her activity, is just to please Krishna. What is his pleasure? Desire cannot exist in Shakti. Rather, Shakti acts in accordance with the desire of the Supreme Being. You have the power to move, and when you desire to move, that power will act. Yes, you understand that example. It's beautiful. We have the power to move, but until the desire comes to move, the desire is coming from Krishna. That desire is coming from the Shaktiman. So we have the ability to move. We have that Shakti, but we can't move until we have the desire to do it. You understand? Because we are like the jiva is like its own universe in a sense, the microcosm of everything in the macrocosm. The macrocosm is the great, and the microcosm is the tiny. You have the power to move, and when you desire to move, that power will act. You say the power is moving. No, the power can't move. It's merely a figure of speech. It actually means that the person who possesses that power is moving. Beautiful. Bhagavan, actually, it's not very often that we would be speaking these things publicly in a class or something like that. It's only when we read them now in a study mood that we can appreciate the depths of this Siddhanta. Like normally, we would just be speaking about different various topics. We wouldn't be analyzing in such a scholarly way. But because we have this opportunity to study this Jaiva Dharma, then it's bringing out all its very, uh, these Siddhantic points are clearly being presented for us. Bhagavan has only one Shakti, which is manifest in different forms. When it functions in a spiritual capacity, it is known as Chit Shakti. And when it operates in a material capacity, it is known as Maya or Jad Shakti, dull energy. It is stated in the Shvetashvarta Upanishad 6:8, Prasya Shakti Vividaiva Suryate. The Vedas say that Bhagavan's divine Shakti is full of variety, Actually, all of Krishna's gopis, billions of gopis, they're all his Shaktis. They're all emanations from him. They're all his Shaktis come to serve him in his Leela. And like in Dwarka, his 108 queens, 16,108. They're all his Shaktis. They're all his energies. The Shakti that supports the three modes of material nature, Sattva, Raja, and Tama, is known as Jada Shakti, and its functions are to create and destroy the universe. The Puranas and the Tantra refer to it as Vishnu Maya, Mahamaya, Maya, and so on. Different names for the same energy. There are many allegorical descriptions of her activities. For example, it is said that she is the mother of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and that she slew the demonic brothers Shumba and Nishumbha. The living entity remains under the control of this Shakti as long as he is engrossed in material enjoyment. When the jiva is endowed with pure knowledge, he becomes aware of his own swarup, and this awareness enables him to transcend Maya Shakti and attain the liberated status. He then comes under the control of Chit Shakti and obtains spiritual happiness. We read this last time, I think. Same thing. We read it again. It's no problem. Digamba, are you not under the control of some power? Advaita, yes, we are Jiva Shakti. We have abandoned the Maya Shakti and come under the protection of Chit Shakti. Digamba, then you are also a Shakta. Advaita, yes, the Vaishnavas are true Shaktas. We are under the control of Shrimati Radhika, who is the embodiment of Chit Shakti. It is only under her shelter that we render service to Krishna. So who is more of a Shakta than a Vaishnava, than the Vaishnavas? We do not see any difference between the Vaishnavas and the real Shaktas. Those who are only attached to Maya Shakti without taking shelter of Chit Shakti may be called Shaktas, but they are not Vaishnavas. They are only materialists. In the Narad Pancharatna, Sri Durga Devi explains, Tava Viksaya Vakshashi Radhaham Rase Vrindavane Vane. In the forest known as Vrindavan, I am your internal Shakti, Sri Radhika, who adorns your chest in the rasa dance. From this statement of Durga Devi, it is clear that there is only one Shakti and not two. That Shakti is Radhika when she manifests as the internal potency, and she is Durga when she is manifest as the external potency. In the condition of freedom from contact with the material modes of nature, Vishnu Maya is the Chit Shakti. That same Vishnu Maya is the Jad Shakti when it is endowed with the modes of nature. You see these complete distinctions. Chit Shakti and then Durga Ma and Vishnu Maya is covering, and Jad Shakti. You understand? Something. Just hearing it is beginning our journey of appreciation. Digambar, you said that you are Jiva Shakti. What is that? Advaita, Bhagavan has said in Bhagavad Gita 7.4.6, Bhumya apanola vyahu vaya karma manu buddhiya eva cha ahankara itiyam me bina prakritiya astada aparayam itastva anyam prakritim vidi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yeyadam daryate jagat etad yonini bhutani sarve nityani nitya uparahaya uparaya aham kritnasya jagata prabhava pralasya palayas tata. My inferior or material prakriti is comprised of the 8 components: earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intelligence, and ego. That makes 8. These 8 elements are under the control of Jad Maya, dull energy. There is, however, another Prakriti which is superior to this Jad Prakriti and which consists of the Jivas. By it, this material world is perceived or seen. The Jivas have the particle of the internal Shakti, Chit Shakti, within them. It's their consciousness, but it's covered over. When we access that higher realm of consciousness through our practices, through our careful listening, through our careful um, chanting, etc., then we can clear the fog of illusion and come back to our real, this Antaranga Shakti. This Antaranga Shakti is actually our nature, but we are acting as if we were Bahiranga Shakti, that's lower, because we're marginal, we're Tatashta, we oscillate between the two. Digambar, do you know the glory of Bhagavad Gita? This Shastra is the essence of the instructions of all the Shastras, and it resolves all conflicts between the various philosophical ideologies. It establishes that the category of entities known as Jiva Tattva is fundamentally different from the material world and is one of Ishvara's potencies. That's what we just said. It's fundamentally different. I am fundamentally different from this material world. I just said we're considered insane when we realize that we're not connected with this material world, when it's not part of our consciousnesses, when we're not covered by this Mahamaya, then we are considered by the conditioned souls as to be insane, because for them it's insanity to actually walk away from this material consciousness. Learned authorities refer to this tattva as the Tatashta Shakti. This Shakti is superior to the external potency and inferior to the internal potency. Therefore, the Jivas are in a unique Shakti of Krishna. We are very unique. This Tatashta Shakti is like in the spiritual world, there are two types of spiritual beings: those who serve in Goloka Vrindavan, in their spiritual, in that spiritual lila Madhurya pastimes, and those who serve in Vaikunthas, two different jivas altogether. And this is the third type of jiva that is manifesting from this Tatashta Shakti. But our essential nature is Sat Chit Ananda. Digambar, Kalidas, have you read the Bhagavad Gita? Advaita, yes, I read it quite some time ago. Digambar, what is the nature of its philosophical teachings? Advaita, my brother Digambar, people praise molasses only as long as they have not tasted sugar candy. In other words, the teachings are so beautiful. Digambar, my brother, this is simply blind faith on your part. Everyone has tremendous regard for the Devi Bhagavat and the Devi Gita. You Vaishnavas are the only people who cannot even bear to hear the names of these two books. Advaita, have you read the Devi Gita? Digambar, no. Why should I lie? I was going to copy these two books, but I shall have not, but still I have not been able to do so. Advaita, how can you say whether a book is good or bad when you have not even read it? Is my faith or your is it my faith or yours that is blind? Very good. Digambar, brother, I've been somewhat afraid of you ever since childhood. You were always very talkative. You see, he's been defeated here, so he's squirming. But now that you have become a Vaishnava, you are even more assertive in expressing your views. Whatever I say, whatever I say, you cut to pieces. Advaita, I am certainly a worthless fool, but I can see that there is no Shuddha Dharma apart from Vaishnava Dharma. You are always inimical to the Vaishnavas, and that is why you could not even recognize the path to your own auspiciousness. Digambar, a little angry. Do you claim that I cannot see the path of my own auspiciousness when I have performed so much sadhan and bhajan? Have I been cutting grass all this time to feed my horse? Just look at this Tantra Sangraha that I have written. Do you think it was a joke to produce a book like this? You arrogantly flaunt your Vaishnavism and ridicule modern science and civilization. What am I to do about this? Come, let us go to a civilized assembly and see who will be judged right, you or me. Adwaitadas wanted to be free from Digambar's undesirable association as soon as possible, for he felt that this meeting was completely non-productive. Sometimes when you're speaking with someone, you just know. It's like if you're speaking to a fanatical Christian, you don't even begin to try to convince them of something beyond there because they just class you as demon. Any fanatic, someone is worth speaking to if they're a little flexible, if they're open, if they're not devotees, if you're trying to.
Once I heard that if somebody is sentimental, you cannot convince them.
Generally not.
Yeah.
Generally
You
not.
can,
But even if they're sentimental, you can appeal to their sentimental values, but not if they're religiously, you know,
religiously sentimental.
yeah, well, you can't even go there. Not even worth the while, the trouble. Just break your head. Well, brother, he said, what use will your material science and civilization be at the time of death? Digambar, Kalidas, you are really a strange fellow. Will anything remain after death? As long as you are alive, you should try to acquire fame among civilized men and enjoy the five pleasures: wine, meat, fish, wealth, and women. At the time of death, Mother Nistarini will arrange for you to go wherever you are meant to go. Death is certain, so why are you subjecting yourself to so much tribulation at present? Where will you be when the five elements of this body merge with the five great elements of material nature? There are so many men, basically, of this thought, of this stamp in the world, and they are the ones who are controlling the world, trying to encourage everyone into the path of being like God. As soon as you start to be like the enjoyer, that means you start to take Krishna's place. I've said before, Srila Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati says, when the spirit of enjoyment comes, know that humility is far away. As soon as you desire to enjoy something, that's putting you in Krishna's position. Bhaktaram yagita pasham. Krishna is the enjoyer of all yagya and sacrifice. This world is Maya. So this is still Digambar going on. This world is Maya, Yoga Maya, and Mahamaya. No, this is Advaita, sorry. Let me get this straight. So that was Digambar was speaking, and now this is Digambar again. This world is Maya, Yoga Maya, and Mahamaya. It is she who can award you happiness now and liberation after death. Nothing exists except Shakti. You have come from Shakti, and you will return to Shakti in the end. Just serve Shakti and witness the power of Shakti in science. Try to increase your spiritual power through yoga discipline. In the end, you will see that there is nothing other than this imperceptible potency. Where did you get this far-fetched tale about a conscious supreme God? Your belief in such a story is making you suffer now, and I can't fathom what destination you will attain in the next life that will be superior to ours. What is the need for a personal God? Just serve Shakti, and when you merge into that Shakti, you will remain there eternally. Perfect, perfect Mayavad. Perfect. Advaita, my brother, you have become infatuated with this material Shakti. If there is an all-knowing Bhagavan, then what will happen to you after death? What is happiness? Happiness is peace of mind. I have given up all material pleasure, and found happiness in inner peace. If there is anything more to be achieved after death, I will attain that as well. You are not satisfied. The more you try to enjoy, the more your thirst for material pleasure expands. You do not even know what happiness is. You are simply drifting in the current of sensuality and calling out pleasure, pleasure. But one day you will fall into an ocean of sorrow. Amazing. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes these states of consciousness. I mean, they're just going on and on, shouting pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. You look at any news channel, you look at any word from the material world, and all they're pumping is pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Where can you have pleasure? And what is the opposite of the pleasure? Distress, distress, war, famine, hate, fight, fight, fight. These two sides. This is the material world. No sanity there. Digambar, whatever will be my fate will be. But why have you abandoned the association of cultured men? Advaita, I have not renounced the association of cultured men. Rather, that is precisely what I have obtained. I am trying to give up the association of degenerate men. Digambar, how do you define degenerate association? Advaita, please hear without becoming angry. I will tell you Srimad Bhagavatam says 4:30:33. Yadvat te maya sprishta brahma brahmama iha karmabi tavat bhavat prasanganam sanga syan no bhave. Hari Bhakti Vilas 10:292. O Bhagavan, we pray that as long as we are bewildered by your illusory potency and are wandering in material existence under the influence of our karmic activities, we may have the association of your premi bhaktas birth after birth. Only association with premi bhaktas is auspicious for us. It is said in the Hari Bhakti Vilas 10:294, Asada bi saha sangas tu na kartavya kadachane yasmat sarvata hani syad ada patash jayate. One should never associate with people who are immersed in non reality, for by such association one is deprived of all worthwhile objects of attainment and falls down to a degraded position. Yes, if someone is following Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha, for example, if that is their goal and intention, we're going to become degraded by that type of association. The Katyani Samhita states, Varam Hutvaha Jvala Panjaranta Vyavashtiti Na Suri Chinta Vimukha Jane Sambasa Vaishyavam. Quoted Hari Bhakti Vilas 10:295. Even if I should die in a blazing fire or be trapped for all time in a cage, I still do not want the company of persons averse to thinking of Krishna. It's so horrible to be with people who are against Krishna. You know, everything is closed to the exhilaration of the blissful consciousness when it's all blocked off. And that's what polluted atheists have, or Mayavadis have. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:31, 33, and 34, Satyam Socham Daya Monam Buddhya Hri Sri Yasak Shama Samo Dhamma Bhagaschita Yat Sangad Yati Sangshayam Tvesh Ashanteshu Mudeshu Kanditatmash Asadushu Sangam Na Kuryach Chokyeshu Yosit Krida Mrigeshu Cha. Quoted from Hari Bhaktivilas 10, 297 to 298. If one associates with those who are devoid of virtue, one's good qualities such as truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, restraint of speech, intelligence, shyness, wealth, fame, forgiveness, control of the senses, control of the mind, and fortune completely fade away. Therefore, one should never associate with disgraceful people who are agitated by desires for sense enjoyment, who are foolish, who are engrossed in the bodily conception of life, and who are playthings in the hands of women. It is said in the Garuda Purana 231 to 217, Antargato pi Vedanam sarva shastrata vedyapi yana sarveshvare bhaktas tam vidyat puru saramam. Quoted from Bhakti Harivilas again, 10:303. One may have studied all the Vedas and be acquainted with the meaning of all the Shastras, but if he is not a devotee of Sri Hari, he should be understood as the lowest of men. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.18 states, Prayaschitani krinani narayana paranmukam na nispuranti rajendra surya kumbam ivapaga. Quoted in Hari Bhakti Vilas 10.305. O king, just as the water of many rivers cannot purify a wine pot, similarly a person who is averse to Sri Narayan cannot become purified by all the different types of atonement, even if they are executed perfectly again and again. So this is from the beginning of the Ajamil Charita, beginning of the 6th canto, because Parikshit Maharaj has been inquiring how he's just heard the pastimes of the hellish planets described in the 5th canto. So now this is the beginning of the 6th canto. And he's asking, what is that process where one can be purified completely? And first of all, Shukadev is talking about this prayaschita, these atonement rituals that he should go through, but they don't purify completely. So then Shukadev realizes the sincerity of Parikshit Maharaj, and then he explains about the glories of the holy name and gives the beautiful pastime of Ajamil, how at the time of death he's just calling out of his son, and by that Narayana, those 4 syllables, then 4 Vishnudutas immediately appear and chase away the 3 Yamadutas and have a wonderful conversation. And Ajamil is hearing this conversation, and this is by the power of Nam Abbas. So the power of Nam is unlimited. And even Yamaraj, because the Yamadutas, they go to complain to Yamaraj after they've been thwarted in trying to capture Ajamil's soul. And Yamaraj becomes very happy to hear that they've met the Vishnudutas. And he says this beautiful verse, Etavan eva lokeshmin pumsam dharma paroshmita bhakti yoge bhagavati tannama granadi bi. He says this verse at the very end of the 3rd chapter of the Ajamil Charit, that just by chanting this holy name is enough to purify all of humanity. It's just so powerful. We just simply initially have to have faith in these words. And then by our actualizing them, our actually practicing that, then we will come to realize the potency and the efficacy of the chanting. It's by the practice. Don't be satisfied with just hearing the words. Taste it. It's like trying to describe to somebody a bottle of honey, but not actually opening the lid and tasting it. We have to taste this Harinam. And there's a verse I'll read to you from the Chaitanya Bhagavat in regards to this, just to confirm this point. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he's saying directly, this is from chapter 15 of the Madhya Lila. He says, he's talking about Jagai and Madai. This is just about appreciating the potency of the name and how to actually get that realization of the name. It's by spending the time to chant 1 or 2 lakhs a day. It's described that Jagai and Madai, they would chant 2 lakh Nam a day after their chastisement, after their liberation from their position of Jagai and Madai. So it's describing here about Jagai and Madai. Every day in the early morning, they, that's Jagai and Madai, would take bath in the Ganges and then sit in a solitary place and chant 200,000 names of Krishna. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he comments here, it is said that Sri Haridas Thakur would daily chant 300,000 names of Krishna. Jagai and Madai also daily chanted 200,000 names. Sri Chaitanya Dev does not accept anything offered by those who do not daily chant 100,000 names. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he's saying this. The followers of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya must daily chant a minimum of 100,000 names. That's a lakh every day, minimum. Otherwise, Lord Krishna will not accept their offerings and they will face obstacles in obtaining the Lord's remnants. If you can't make your offering pure through your own purity of chanting 100,000 names, it takes about between 5 and 6, perhaps 7 hours. It takes a calculated um, schedule of rising early is the secret. This is the key. Let me share with you. This is the key, is rising early in the morning. If we don't rise early in the morning, just forget it altogether. And what is the key to rising early in the morning? Going to bed early at night. What happens after 7:30, 8 o'clock every night? The mind is tired, it's been active all day, if it's eaten and so on. There's nothing else especially pressing spiritually at that time to do. The modes of nature are coming from passion into ignorance. Actually, around about 8 o'clock, not before 9 especially, we should be resting. And if we can rise in the early morning hours, the Brahma Muhurta hour is the only mode of goodness in the whole day, starting at about 3:30, before 3:30. After the Brahma Muhurta hour, the mode of passion kicks in. Then after the mode of passion, again comes ignorance in the afternoon. Then after ignorance, again in the evening time, will come the mode of passion. And then in after the evening comes the mode of ignorance in the sleeping time. So the only mode of goodness in the whole day, in the 24 hours of the day, is those few hours of the Brahma Muhurta hour. And the devotees take great relish in rising early and relishing the dawns, which are so beautiful. It's described that Lord Brahma, he dropped the dawn for the demigods to sport with. The evening time is taken up with the mode of passion. And that's described in the third canto, that tantalizing female who allured the demons away from trying to sexually abuse Lord Brahma. She became a fascinating woman, and that woman takes the form of twilight. And it's described that is the mood of passion. It's like every evening, 6 or 7 o'clock, all the drinking houses open, the nightclubs are open, everyone's roaring for it. They're going into that, heavy enjoyment mood of passion. Whereas what do the devotees do at that time of the day? That time, Shiva Jayo Jaya Gaura Chandre. That's what we sing. We sing about the glories of Mahaprabhu at that time of day. And then, if after the Gaura Arati is concluded, minimal activity and then rest. Rest for a purpose so that we can rise and utilize the early morning hours of the day to the maximum. And then if we do this and we get regularly habituated to it, it's got to become into a habit. We've got to form these good habits. And if we perform these good habits for many, 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 many years, it takes that time to actually cultivate it easily, because it shouldn't be an imposition for the body. It's no good rising early if you're going to crash out at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. If you go to sleep after you've woken up and been chanting, it's amazing. I've done many times. Dropped off to sleep and you lose all the potency of your chanting. You just lose it. If you chant right the way through until at least 8 or 9 o'clock, and then if you need to take a nap or something at that time when the sun has risen, that's okay. But if you try to sleep before the sun rises, you're just going to lose all the effect of your chanting. So it takes practice. It takes diet also. What you eat at night, etc., is going to be digesting inside. All of these intelligent ideas wake up in your mind when you start to chant more. How to optimize this human body and this human birth. It's a science, and it's not a difficult one. We've just got to get familiar with it all. So chanting is the principle. And Ajamil in this verse 6.1.18 exemplifies that. So it is said in the Skanda Purana, Hanti nindati vai dveshti vaishnavam nabinandati kuryate yati na harsham Darshane Patanani Sat, quoted Hari Bhakti Vilas 10:312. The six causes of downfall are to beat a Vaishnava, to slander him, to bear malice against him, to fail to welcome or please him, to display anger towards him, and to not feel pleasure upon seeing him. Take these seriously. We can't afford any Vaishnava aparad. We can't afford it. Digambar. A person can never attain auspiciousness through these types of immoral association. What possible benefit can one gain by living in a society composed of such men? So Advaita very kindly has just thrown the whole book of Shastra at Digambar. Digambar is not a stupid man. Materially, he's not stupid. So he's thrown all these different verses to make an impression to him. Digambar. Well, now, what a distinguished gentleman I have come to speak with. You should certainly stay amidst the pure Vaishnavas. I am going to my own house. Advaitas felt that his exchange with Digambar was drawing to a close, that it would be appropriate to conclude on a pleasant note. In a courteous mood, he said, "You are my childhood friend. I know you must return home, but I don't want you to go just yet. You have come all this way, so please stay for a while, take some prasad, and then you may go." Digambar, Kalidas, you know very well that I follow a strict diet. I only eat havisya, and I had a meal just before coming here. Havisya is like a khichdi. However, it was a pleasure to see you. I will come again if I find the time. I cannot stay overnight because I have some duties to perform according to the system given to me by my guru. Brother, I must take my leave for today. Advaita, very well. I shall see you off to the boat. Let us go. Digambar, no, no. Carry on with your own business. I have some men with me. Digambar then went away, singing a song about goddess Kali, and Advaita Das was able to chant Sri Nam in his kutia without further obstruction. So it's important to note the end of their conversation is on a cordial note. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we've described, gives so many teachings within the philosophy presentations that he's making. So this exchange, which could have got out of hand if the individuals had been too passionate. We see that Digambar was quite passionate, began actually insulting Advaita Babaji. But Advaita was very composed the whole time, you know, and this is a lesson for us in Kali Yuga to maintain our equilibrium, even in the um, unfortunate circumstances of having to meet someone like this, someone from our past, someone who materially has been our friend or our brother or our relative, etc., in the past, how to deal with them. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives us many layers of divine instructions. These are all helpful building blocks in our progress of pure bhakti, Shuddha bhakti. Just like he said in this first verse of the Falshruti, Dharma projita kaitavatra parama nirmatsharana. There's no envy in this presentation. It's only pure transcendental, um, blissful instructions, divine instructions. So we should take them to heart. So we've gone through it quite quickly, but at least we've all gone through it. And in the future, I'm sure all of us will read it again and again. And each time we read it, we will go deeper and deeper into the meanings that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving. For sure, 100%. The meanings will reveal themselves deeper and deeper. So tomorrow we'll begin on chapter 10. So Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Gaura Haribol, Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Gaura Haribol. Srila Bhakti Thakur ki jai, Jaiva Dharma ki jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha. Kripa Sindhabevacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha.